Yep. All right. Welcome. Pro Football Doc Sports Injury Central podcast. I apologize for the timing of this. I know we were trying to do live, but schedules and really my fault. And also my fault for a little bit of the raspy voice. A lot of talking this long weekend from Canton and then a pit stop in Chicago. And we can talk about that some too, but that's why my voice is raspy. And Taylor, you're still there. Your countdown watch or whatever.
I feel like I'm in the eye of the storm. Like we had some couple steps and then now we're wait process. Maybe we need to do some manual inducing. I don't know, but like you said, still here.
Manual
Still
inducing. What are you talking about for manual inducing?
like
I don't want to know.
take her for a walk.
Okay, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yeah. But yeah, we're in the waiting game. Yes.
Some salsa, spicy burrito or something. I don't know.
Yes, exactly.
Whatever.
Some spicy Cheetos. Yeah. I always think of
Yeah.
Doc like sometimes I have excuses for not doing work, whatever. But like you just had a great Hall of Fame weekend. You're fresh off a flight and you're sitting here on the podcast right on time. So my excuses aren't as good nowadays.
My voice, I've been fortunate enough to have gone 2 other times for the Hall of Fame. And this one, I don't know, it was good. I mean, I went for Junior Seau's Hall of Fame. Incredibly grateful, but that was just incredibly sad because he had passed away. And his daughter doing the introduction, etc. It was my first time. It just was different. LT was awesome. Went for LT's Hall of Fame. Maybe didn't know what to expect, but also it was just fun to see players and so forth. This one seemed a little different only because maybe more time has passed. And for me, I've been not with the Chargers for longer. It was like a good old college or high school reunion. Saw lots and lots of people. Really enjoyed my time there, seeing lots of people I haven't seen in a while. And getting reconnected in football, was lucky enough. I mean, I equally enjoyed, look, the whole point was to be there for Gates, right? And that was awesome, well deserved. And maybe because this Hall of Fame, there were only 4, which seemed like fewer than usual, the pacing, the timing, the everything. And we actually had we can get into it, fortunate to have a funny connection to actually all 4, a little tiny bit.
Okay.
As I thought about it a little bit, but also saw a lot of different people. Was fortunate enough to go to the Doubletree or McKinley Grand, and from James Lofton to Dan Fouts to Marshall Falk, and reconnected a little bit with Zach Thomas, one of Junior's good buddies, and John Randall, who was a young guy when I was in Minnesota. That's where I saw Gatesy again, and Eric Allen. Got a chance to see him, and I can't even name all the people. Jim Kelly. We'll get into. Here's a Thurman Thomas, and we'll come back on. I asked him about his playing without an ACL, and kind of got the whole story there. But in terms of the Hall of Famer, very grateful. Gatesy, thanks for the super nice shout out. He told me afterwards. He said, I had a lot of people to thank, and this, that, the other. And I thought that part would be easy. So on his teleprompter speech, he said he had, and thanks to, there was a ... where he was just going to audible at the line of scrimmage. And obviously very emotional. And then he started, I said, well, whatever. He's like, I was going to say more. I was like, okay, don't worry about it. He goes, I just got flustered up there, kind of thing. And here's the thing that I would say, and this is the group of people that I was sitting with. Okay, since the gambling, look, there were no odds on cry, no cry. That man was going to shed a tear. And be emotional. No one was taking no. It was just the number of times that he might shed a tear and how badly and how far into his speech, right? And over under. No was not an option. I mean, for him to say,
It was going to
I'm
happen.
not gonna, yeah, he was emotional at the gold jacket ceremony, right? And I was like, he didn't have a chance. But no, he was funny. He was apologizing about the shout out. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? I mean, just happy to be here. But
Yeah.
and then here's my one little tidbit. I told this story before on Gates, and we played it last week. The national anthem singer with Tim Dwight's number 85, Gates having double-digit receptions and over 100 yards in his breakout game. I asked him about it. He confirmed that as a true story. He remembers that game and the national anthem singer with the 85. And of course, he knows now the secret about it really wasn't his number, but it was a good story. So, look, a lot of times you tell stories and they're fishtails and whatever, but maybe I got one or two of the minor facts wrong here or there, but Gates himself did confirm that as a real story. So I'm the one responsible for Gates's Hall of Fame career. I'm joking, not at all. We were just having some fun there on the sideline and pumping the guy up. He would have gotten his double-digit catches and 100 touchdowns anyways. Maybe I was worth an ammonia caplet for, pumping him up before the game. Hey, all good. So that was kind of fun. Eric Allen, San Diego guy, lives in Point Loma.
Right.
I think Eric Allen should have got into the Hall of Fame even sooner, but I think his issue was Philadelphia, then Saints, then Raiders. Loved all three places, but when you're in different places, the way the Hall of Fame structure is and the voting, like who's going to take the mantle to get him in and pound the drum? Eagles representative, maybe. Raiders representative, maybe, and they each have long lines of people. Maybe there was more concentration on lifetime Eagles first,
right?
Time Raiders first, and so he kind of fell through the cracks a few years. But in is in, and Eric Allen's very grateful. I talked to Eric Allen when I first started doing this, and he was actively working at ESPN,
Right.
And he's actually one that I shifted my goals. He told me what his gig was like for ESPN and how you travel there, and then they put you through the car wash, and of course you get paid and whatever. And not that ESPN was offering me anything, but I was like, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be away from family. For me to go for a one day at ESPN and do 10, 12 things, let's say it's a Wednesday, I've got to fly out there on Tuesday, work a long day Wednesday, and then late night Wednesday fly home, or fly home Thursday and burn time in 2.5, 3 days of the week. I might as well be traveling and doing team coverage stuff, right? So it's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then, and I didn't want to be on TV anyways, quite honestly. I just like this new concept of what we were doing. And then people said you should go up to LA and do Fox stuff or NFL Network stuff. And once again, not that anyone was offering, but if you have a 10 o'clock TV hit, you got to be there so early. Forget makeup and everything else, but pre-production meetings and this, that, the other, and it's still a day. It's not just, and the drive up to LA is 2.5 hours without traffic. So that's 5 hours both ways, pre-production. It's still a whole day. It's not just the 10 minutes. And so grateful for Zoom and StreamYard. And look, I'm at my house right now. Yes, I just got back from Chicago. And so Eric Allen, thank you very much. Super nice guy. He tried to mentor me a little bit and talk it through. It made me go, I don't want to do that stuff, and not that anyone's offering, but I don't want to do that stuff. Let's see. Who else? Sterling
With Sharp. Yeah.
This just goes to show you, the Hall of Fame for football is about greatness. It's not like baseball, 500 home runs and you're in. You don't have to have been an MVP or whatever, cumulative greatness in football. Sterling Sharp had a fairly short career, 7 years, ended with his neck injury, just like Terrell Davis, 6 years, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And that's what gets Sterling Sharp. I saw Shannon Sharp there. I think Shannon was honest that he was the second best player in his family. right? I mean, Sterling's 7 years of greatness, I think you can argue exceeded Shannon Sharp. So glad he got in. Small story. This is back in the day. I spent some time with Sterling Sharp. I'm not a great golfer. He doesn't like me because I was in his foursome for a junior Sao tournament. He played with a boot on his foot and still crushed the ball and outplayed everybody. Certainly outplayed me. So do know Shannon a little bit there. And the final one, Jared Allen. Look, I've been plenty of times on the opposite side of field of Jared Allen, from the Kansas City Chiefs, Vikings, plenty of times. And I don't really know Jared personally, but here's the connection. Jared Allen caused me to get sworn at by a friend of mine. It's Jared Allen's fault. So Mike Cyphers reminded me of the stories. He was out there. Okay. And so the story is, I told it years ago, but so Jared Allen, you got me sworn at. No, it was my fault, Jared. I shouldn't have said it, but we laugh about it. Mike fumbles a snap on a kick. He's a holder for a field goal. I don't remember if it's a field goal or extra point. I don't even remember. Runs around. Look, Mike's a great guy. And subsequent to that, he had a great passer efficiency. I mean, he was 158.6 subsequent years. But he a little bit Garo Premium-esque, throws it sort of. It gets picked off. Meanwhile, Jared Allen grabs him and plants him into the ground. I mean, today it'd be an illegal tackle, but plants him into the ground. Mike tries to brace himself, dislocates his thumb. He comes over the sideline like, is my thumb supposed to be pointing this way, Jeff? Meanwhile, as I'm starting to look at him, Coach Marty Schottenheimer's coming up and screaming, don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever throw a pass again, this, that, the other, and give him a hard time. Meanwhile, he's got his dislocated thumb. Yeah. And then Marty goes away. So that's the setup for it. So Mike's a little hot as the way it is. He's hurt and getting yelled at, and he's mad he dropped the snap. I saw Drew Brees there at the Hall of Fame, and he's next up, obviously. I think next year is his first year. He's a lock.
2026, yeah.
Yeah, chatting with Drew Brees a little bit. And Drew Brees I'm dealing with Mike Cyphers, and Drew's over my shoulder, and he goes, what happened? What happened? I'm like, I mean, can I treat the thumb here? Yes, is what I'm thinking in my bubble in my head. And I said, he goes, what'd he do? What'd he do? I'm like, his thumb. That's what I said. And I'm still looking at him working. He goes, what'd he do to his thumb? Like, over the shoulder, like a little kid. And I said, dislocated it. I figured that's good enough. And I'm reducing it. And this is after Marty yelling at Mike for don't throw a ball ever again, whatever. Right. And here comes Drew again. Which hand? And I said, his throwing hand. Basically, what does it matter, Drew? He's our kicker. Why do you need to know which hand? So I semi-sarcastically said his throwing hand, and that got me the fuck off, from Mike Cyphers. Deservedly so, but really the snide remark was made to Drew, not to Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't even think he heard me. I was like, his throwing hand, I mean, I was giving our starting quarterback due deference that, like, hey, he's coming up. Yeah. Honestly, not if it were like a special teamer or even a coach, an assistant coach, I've been like, can we get him fixed before we talk?
Yeah, it doesn't matter right now.
Yeah. So Jared Allen, you got me sworn at the only time on the sideline from my friend, and I deserved it. So that's a distant connection, but it's just fun in the stories and many more. Drew Brees, great to see him. I got a picture of Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers.
There you go.
Together, they were chatting with Sean Merriman, and company. So it was just a lot of good vibes, good people, good times. Saw a lot of people, and Charlie Joyner, Kellen Winslow, a lot of Charger greats that I hadn't seen in a long time, but also NFL greats. And
Rivers is up for eligibility too, right? Next year with Brees. I think they both are. I'm looking at
I don't know. I mean, didn't he just officially retire a Charger like a week or two ago? Does his clock, doesn't he have to be 5 years?
It says key names include Brees, Fitzgerald, Frank Gore, first time notable. I guess it's first time, so first ballot. Rivers, Witten, and Marquise Pouncey.
I don't know. Maybe our friend Howard Balzer, who's on the selection
Yeah, he
committee,
knows
will
all the
chime
rules for
in
the
on
NFL, yeah.
what the rules are. I don't know the rules. I thought it was 5 years after he retired, and didn't he just officially retire? And Philip even came out and said that he didn't retire because he was still getting some phone calls here and there, and we can talk about that. So I don't know that he's eligible
Yeah,
next,
I'm
but
not sure. Yeah, I
look,
agree with
I love Philip. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I hope he gets in, but they're not putting in Drew Brees and Philip Rivers in the same
you. At the
year.
same
That I
time.
can
Oh,
guarantee
no
you.
way.
I
Yeah,
can guarantee you that. I mean,
yeah.
Drew's getting in first ballot, I believe,
Mhm.
and Philip, I hope he gets in, but I don't know that he's even eligible, to tell you the
Yeah,
truth.
I
And
agree.
and and Philip doesn't care about that. He was there with his wife Tiffany, and we were talking, and he's about to be, yeah, Grandpa Philip now.
Mhm.
He's got little ones, and the little ones, his littlest can play with the grandkids can, and his kids can play together. Um, but I did ask Philip. I mean, there was some background chatter there that Philip loves his coaching. Oh, you know what I asked for Philip? I said, Philip, because he was wearing St. Michael's gear, his
The high
high
school.
school that he
Yeah.
coaches, and I said, Philip, can I at least get some gear? You text me all the time with info. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's joking around like, oh, he's like Chow's still like my team physician. I text him all the time with stuff and da, 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 da. And I'm
Yeah.
like, can I get a hat or something? I mean, if I be the team physician, I'm certainly not getting paid. And he laughed. But some people were thinking that he wants to do more, like, with all these players coaching in the NFL and stuff. I think he has the ability to do more. I think he has the ability to be a head coach in the NFL. He has a great ability to be offensive coordinator,
Right.
absolutely passing game coordinator. I think he would make a great head coach. Look at Jim Harbaugh and any number of people who are out there. And, obviously a lot of former quarterbacks out there, and former players with success
Mhm.
out there. But I don't know. We've talked about it. I think he would be interested if given the opportunity, but football, family, faith, and it's not NFL football. It's just football. And I suppose if the right opportunity came up, but I don't see him living a lifestyle of, okay, I'm gonna work my way up through the ranks and be a
No. No.
coordinator or a passing game coordinator, or a quarterbacks coach, and then with his family and so forth and his dedication. Remember, he never moved to LA. He stayed in San Diego and commuted and did film study in the van. He did move his family to Indy, and it only lasted 1 year. He was only coming out of retirement, so to speak, in December to help a playoff team. He wasn't moving his family for a whole year. So if he gets a big time coaching job, he'd probably have to do that. So I don't know.
I
Whatever he
have one
wants to do.
something on that, Doc. So coaching wise, Gunner is getting recruited by some pretty top colleges right now. It'd be cool actually to watch him go and follow Gunner somewhere. If he coaches him, maybe offense coordinator or QB coach somewhere in college, and then go to the NFL after Gunner, gets wherever he goes. That would be interesting.
Well,
Just
well,
watch
that'd
him.
be interesting. Gunner's a junior
Yeah.
now, so he's looking. He's getting recruited. He's looking. Once again, I'm not trying to speak for Philip, but
Right. Right.
Philip's smart enough to go, great, I'm coaching my son now. I've had my fun, but he needs a different voice, maybe, or I don't
Mhm.
need to be daddy ball parenting him. He's good enough on his own to,
True. Yeah.
and so forth. So I don't know. And as much as I know Philip loves Gunner, I don't see him, I mean, leaving Panhandle of Florida on a full-time basis away from his other kids and family
Right.
just to coach his son. So I don't know. I think there's too many moving pieces to even speculate on that. But Gunnar is good enough to stand on his own 2 feet and get a scholarship. He doesn't need
You're
dad
right.
to go with him, and dad doesn't want to be, what forever. I think there's a lot of dynamic there. Even look, my 12-year-old son, Davis, isn't listening, I'm sure. Although he says I'm popping up more and more on his YouTube streams, like things that people say about Sports Center Central or me or us. But I think that's because he's actually his other friends have told him that I'm on YouTube or this, that, the other. So he has searched, and once you do that, you get put in the algorithm, right?
And your last names too. They're probably pulling your last names from the algorithm too, and trying to.
I don't know the secret algorithm, but I guess my point is, Taylor, um, my son's 12, and I'm not a baseball expert, but he's well beyond my coaching him. He listens better to others, right? I mean, so that Philip's a different story in terms of his knowledge base, but at some point, every son needs to grow and figure out their own space, and who knows there. But Drew will get in next year. I think 100%. It was good to chat with him. I guess he's got his boys, and his wife Brittany wasn't there, but I'm sure she's saving up for this next year. And it was fun. And then what else? I figured out who Rick Ross was.
I saw you post about that. Yeah, you do these things sometimes. Sometimes you say like what the Sergeant Holka's foot thing we were talking about, Justin Fields, which is a little old, and then I see you at a Rick Ross concert a couple nights later.
Well, time out. Let me explain this Rick Ross concert here. First of all, everyone said Rick Ross was coming. He was a surprise guest at the Gates party.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Who's Rick Ross?"
You didn't say that out loud. You said out loud?
Oh yeah, I did. I have no shame in my game. I don't know music that well at all, right? I mean, but I obviously knew I could tell people were excited about Rick Ross.
Right.
And the other thing is, all Gold Jackets can go to any of the after parties they want to. And I noticed come 9:30 and ahead of 10 o'clock, there was a lot coming to see Gates. They were timing out their hellos to come and see Rick Ross. Emmett Smith, Thurman Thomas, who else is I'm blanking on it. It shows Jerome Bettis. I mean, you name it. There was John Randall. There were dozens of Hall of Famers that came right at 9:45, 10 o'clock to see Rick Ross. And everyone was grooving. That's a video of Emmett and some of the other people, but the win song. Oh, I've heard that one before.
Yes. Your culture.
So now I'm pretending to be one of the cool kids. Oh yeah, I've heard that song. I've been around for that song in a celebratory environment or two, but it's all good.
I mean, when we went to New Orleans, Doc, you had a picture with Master P. So you have a thing with you have attachments to rap stars. It's common now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't claim to know music and stuff that well and so forth. Although I did see a picture in Chicago, some people were talking about Toby Keith, totally different genre. And it was sad. I saw a picture of Toby Keith and said, this is a few months before he passed away. I'm like, oh man, he looked thin there, But when I first met my wife, we were lucky enough to do something where this is a true story. I'll tell you this story. So we were just dating, and someone invited me. I'm not a country music guy. I'm not a rap guy. I don't know what I am for music. Okay. But we were got lucky enough to be in some meet and greet. Toby Keith. I really know his songs since I like a lot of some of the stuff he does. My wife or girlfriend or dating person at the time. We were in there and we were at the end of the line to greet him and you guys want a picture, Toby Keith? And Kim goes, yeah. And she made me take the picture and I didn't even get it. She said, oh, you're over there.
Like she didn't know if you guys would be 100%. So she needed
she was like, I'm preparing, this guy's not necessarily long term. Where, I don't know. I mean, if we're only getting one picture, I want it to be me and Toby. I'm not sure this guy's gonna be. I don't know. I mean, I give her a hard time about that, and she rolls her eyes.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, Doc, do you want to start hopping in some training camp news real quick?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me check on the dog for 1 second. I'm barking. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely.
Sorry about that. Did you do the rundown? Did you finish everything?
Everything's done, Doc. New doctor in
All right.
town.
Oh, since we're talking music,
Yes.
so Rick Ross, you went Master P,
Hmm.
Toby Keith. How about Pearl Jam?
Yes.
Are they too old or are they still cool?
No, I was you sent me a picture. I saw someone wearing a shirt, and that's my dad's favorite band. So my dad's not.
Oh, so you just went old on that too. Okay. So I was lucky enough to I was coming back from Canton, right?
Mhm.
And some friends were going to Chicago to a Cubs game. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. I'll Canton to Chicago. I'll meet them there on Sunday. We're going to the game on Monday. On the way home, I neglected to figure out that they were on first night energy on Sunday, and I was on third night energy. Have you ever been to Vegas for 3 nights and you've got a new crew coming on the third night? That's a little bit difficult.
Mhm.
But it was still fun. But what's the Pearl Jam reference? Very fun thing. Rick Sutcliffe was throwing out the first pitch, and Rick Sutcliffe has this legendary apartment above Murphy's
Mhm.
for his use. And I'm sure he's told the story online before. And to me, this legendary apartment of Murphy's, which is, the bar in center field, outside center field gate for the Cubs and the whole deal. To me, I've heard about this apartment before. Pearl Jam has played a concert from that apartment or a impromptu set.
Mhm.
And it's that little apartment and balcony, Google it online, is legendary. And to me, that was like the legendary bowling alley suite at the Hard Rock,
Mhm.
that people would talk about, kind of thing. And I don't know, it made me I, we got a little tour of that. We got to hung out at Sutcliffe's little apartment there and above Murphy's, and it was pretty cool. And so I'm lucky to say that I've lived a very lucky life. I mean, yes, the bowling alley suite
Mhm.
existed at the Hard Rock,
Yeah.
and that was someone's bachelor party there. Actually, another baseball player, but anyways, and seeing Rick Sutcliffe's apartment, or the Murphy's legendary space. So we've covered a lot in terms of music. Pearl Jam to Rick Ross to Toby Keith.
All around. Yeah.
Crazy. Well-rounded, not
Yes.
well-rounded.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. We're back from Chicago and Canton. There seem to
Oh,
be a
and
lot of new injuries popping up in train camp.
yeah, the training camp updates. We'll have one a bunch on. A lot of people talking about Matt Stafford, wide receiver for the Bills, Shakir, AJ Brown, and such. I do want to promote Doc, your Pro Football Docs 2005 football injury guide. We're finalizing all the health scores, but the guide is available with an annual subscription of data or sick picks. Use code preseason, and you'll save up to $100 on the purchase. Just tell me a little bit, Doc, on the work that we've been doing on the guide so far.
Well, first of all, it's not my guide. It's the sports.
Hour.
We got like, I don't know, 8, 10 people working on stuff, right? And I
Yes.
I don't know if I did the right thing. Before I logged on here, I was checking Twitter, and I don't even remember his name. He replied and said, I've always loved your 6 score stuff, and it was a great way to handicap games. I really loved it. Now you've ruined it and put it behind a paywall. And I'm like, okay. I mean, what I wanted to say is, how about a thank you for all the time we had it for free? Instead,
Yeah.
I was like, I just said, I appreciate your kind words. And, 8 to 10 people worked very hard on some of this stuff and presenting the 6 scores and field views and everything else and the team stuff for the analysis. I said, how do you want us to keep them employed? I mean, so I don't know the answer to that, but it's not just me, I guess, is my point. There's a lot of people involved here.
And then just do, Doc. I just think a lot of the stuff you're getting nowadays, like a lot of the best stuff, they're subscription services now, right? You see, like like what I do for like our fantasy services is just accumulating all these great services in like a utility belt, right? So you have like really good, maybe a really good betting service, really good fantasy football service. This is one of the great injury services that can help you win. So I think it's beneficial regardless of the price, right? So maybe we're biased, but I think it's useful and it will help you win. So that's why we.
I'm all about trying to stay accessible, and I'm not against free content, but I mean, if there's a better way to get 8 to 10 people employed to produce the quality work, I'm all for it. I'm just saying. I mean, there's got to be something there. We'll see. But the work continues because every day there's new info, and we'll talk about Matt Stafford for a second.
Yes, go jump in there.
Last year we were worried. He almost retired the previous year because of his neck issues. Matt Stafford is as tough as they come. He can play through anything. But he's 37. He's taken a lot of hits, and Father Time is undefeated. And here we have, it's almost better if he had a back injury where he got hit and we say, oh, look, it's a transverse process fracture. Here's a defined time and whatever. This is a nebulous injury that popped up out of nowhere in training camp, went from day to day to now week to week, and not sure when he's going to practice. I'm not worried about Matthew Stafford not practicing in the preseason. That's not the worry or training camp. It's the same system. He's got his guys. Yes, you'd like him to throw a little bit to Devontae, but I'm not worried about that because McVay doesn't typically play his starters and stuff anyways. Some training camp work would be helpful, but what kind of back injuries pop up? Forget the fact that he's got a lot of history, some elbow, shoulder, wrist, the neck issue that almost ended his career, and now a back issue. Yeah, it's unrelated, but cumulatively, he's 37. And, as he's tough as they come, but what kind of back injuries come up out of, quote, nowhere?
Right.
Degenerative back issues, not necessarily great. So let me take that back. What kind of back issues that are week to week that come up out of nowhere? Like everyone can sleep wrong and be a little stiff one day and it's a quick return. That's just a little wear and tear stiffness. Degenerative changes, facet arthritis things, nerve issues. Those are all things that, and we don't know what Matthew Stafford has. But the worry meter has to be turned up a little bit here, right? I think he's got to be in the yellow category until we really know what it is. I mean, he's in the red for the preseason, but we're not worried about preseason. So we're going to await more information before we analyze it. We're not here to throw darts. I'm not here to say it could be degenerative disc disease. It could be facet arthropathy. It could be a nerve impingement. It could be a disc extrusion. I'm not going down that multiple choice. I'm just saying on the worry meter here, this isn't a nothing. And I'm also not saying he's not playing this year. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying until we know more which one of these injuries it is, how he's responding, there's the worry meter. And I'm sure we'll get to baseball Michael King, why we always had the worry meter up on him. But there's some worry here for Matthew Stafford. And so until we see him be okay, we're going to be a little cautious on his scores and ratings.
There's new verbiage today, Doc, saying, like, obviously, like you said, he hasn't practiced all through summer training camp, but they said this is something that he would be ready to play through week one, which maybe is a combo of both what you said. Like, yes, it's something, but also something he has, but also he plays through everything, right, Doc, like you said. So
okay.
Maybe it's
but let's interpret that, right? Because what we do is injury analysis, and this is where I love it when you guys feed me the primary sources of information. And that's the quote from McVay or the player or the agent or the video or whatever. But what that's also telling you is what? This isn't going to be behind him when week one comes up, right? It's like when the agent said Najee Harris's eye is going to be fine for the regular season. Well, what about the preseason, right? So he's saying he's not practicing, but bodes well for week one, and that he can play through it if it were week one.
Right. Yeah.
What does it tell you? Let's play through it.
It's going to be there.
What about our Eagles lineman that ended up with disc surgery that we were downgrading some last year during the Super Bowl run with the herniated
Cam Jurgens.
Yeah.
Yes.
And barely making it through. Yeah. There's a difference between playing and being completely healthy, right? And so do we doubt Matthew Stafford's ability and willingness and toughness to play? No. But at what percent is he one hit away, and how effective? That's what we're concentrating on. That's why he's yellow now.
Doc, the next one I want to talk about real quick is Bills wide receiver Khalil Shakir. This is ones that your verbiage, you're already saying week to week. This is a high ankle for a speed wide receiver that cuts constantly. Are you already worried that they're saying week to week? This is already, they're saying maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Your thoughts on a high ankle for a speed wide receiver like Shakir?
My first thought is there seemed to be anecdotally a lot more high ankle sprains this training camp. High ankle sprains typically happen when you get fallen on from behind. And most of the time, the training camp mantra is stay off the ground. That's what they tell you. Even if it's full contact practices, they say stay off the ground. People got to be on the ground for this to happen. And Shakir's not the only one. There's been a couple others around the league.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's something that's changed, and if there's any more media information out there, I'd love to hear it from you all or any of the reporters. Why there seems to be high ankles are typically game time injuries, right? You get rolling up. They're not usually not practice injuries. So we'll have to see. But yes, it is concerning. The most severe forms of high ankle need surgery. I'm not saying that's the case here, but even minor ones can slow you down. They're starting with a 4 to 6 week window. That's not the best news. I mean, I think he's clearly for week 1 in the yellow category as well for right now at best. If they're opening with 4 to 6 weeks, and that's once again return to play is not meaning 100%. Yeah, I think there's some worry there on him.
That's interesting. You said that Aaron Glenn just had a press conference with the Jets, and he mentioned Mason Taylor, the rookie tight end, who had a high ankle sprain as well. So that's like you said, and you're right. That's the first
more.
There's a couple more, but that was like the one that came to mind most recently. Is this maybe, Doc, that there's one less preseason game and they're trying to put more emphasis on the team to team practices, and they're going a little bit harder than normal, so they're getting these game type injuries in practice? Or is that just speculation? Maybe just trying to figure out, like you said.
Well, I don't know that the Jets did they have a practice against another team? I don't know. Did the Bills have a practice against another team? I don't know. And
You're
before
right.
we jump to that, even in the practice against other teams, you hear coaches yell all the time, stay off the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even, yes, and any player will tell you any veteran player will tell you they would much rather have an extra preseason game than a practice against another team, because a lot of times you end up going 1v1 there, right?
Yes.
And preseason, we know the vets don't get a lot of time anyways, so they don't want to lose preseason games if it means more of the team practice versus another team practices.
I just want to, there's 2 hamstring injuries I want to talk about, more about the player and then the type injury, because obviously we don't know the severity of each hamstring. You have A.J. Brown with a hamstring tweak. And then
I'm sorry, because it's not usual time. This is a doctor call. I'm going to take it, but you can run through the list a little bit with the listeners, and I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have A.J. Brown with a hamstring tweak and Cam Skattebo with a hamstring tweak. What I was going to ask Doc, and which a big thing is that A.J. Brown is a veteran wide receiver. So his hamstring, he can have the ability to miss practice time and sit out while Devontae Smith and all the other rookies get time, while a player like Cam Skattebo is going to miss time learning the playbook for the Giants, and that might be much bigger deal than A.J. Brown's hamstring, regardless of how severe those hamstring tweaks are. So we'll get back to Doc on those, and we'll also we'll talk about key players, T.J. Hockenson and running back Isaac Guerendo's shoulder injury in just a couple moments. Just before Doc gets back, I'll remind people we have daily WNBA picks and MLB picks, and we'll be talking about Aaron Judge and his return later as well. Key part about that is he is going to probably have to do DH, and with the Austin Slater hamstring injury, Stanton may be forced to play right field, which we'll talk about Doc later, which is a huge deal. Yankees have tried every possible way to get Stanton out of the outfield. And they even made that not big, but that trade for Austin Slater. And now the first game Judge has to come back. There's a big chance that Stan has to be in the outfield, which we'll talk about is huge news. And then he also referenced Michael King. There's times where you see stuff and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. And that's why he's talking a big thing about coach speak and just reading how the media portrays a certain injury. King woke up with he was sleeping and he said, oh, I woke up awkwardly. There's a little thing on my shoulder. This has turned into a long-term stay NIL. And he's just ramping up. He's just returning now. But that's the key thing when you see stuff like that is that you need to look more not just at how the media is reporting the injury or how it's going on. It's more about what kind of injury it is. And that's why a big thing about having a resource like SIG-Score is that you're able to utilize our information and be like, oh, it's not just King sitting out. It's nothing. He'll be back. Like, no, you can plan ahead and be like, oh, I'm going to need a long-term replacement for King on your fantasy teams or so forth, knowing that he's going to be out long-term before the media has reported that he's long-term. So we'll get into more on those two injuries and MLB in a little bit. TJ Hockenson injury is an interesting one for me with the groin because you have Justin Jefferson already out with his hamstring. You have TJ Hockenson with the groin, and then you have JJ McCarthy learning how to play in the NFL. That's going to be interesting for the Vikings to have to go through all that to start the season. Hockenson is definitely a safety blanket for a rookie and newer quarterbacks. And he's off the ACL second year, so he'll definitely be much, much better than last year. There he is.
I apologize. Thanks for taking that. So that's a first here. First of all, I know we've had podcasts before where I remember Rap Sheet had to break away to break a trade news. I guess it's because we're doing it live. It's the hazard of it. And it's a weird time today. And I just got back and follow-up calls. So I apologize to everybody.
The key part is the other podcasters, whatever, you're a doctor. So you can go off to calls, whatever.
Well, I wouldn't have done it if it was random. It was another doc and something I needed to know. All good.
Just explain with them with hamstring injuries. AJ Brown's a veteran with a hamstring tweak, and you have a rookie running back from the Giants hamstring injury. How are those different? Like, is it a much bigger deal with the rookie getting a hamstring injury than the veteran wide receiver, regardless of how severe the hamstrings are?
Well, the good news is earlier the season, the better, right? More time, earlier the preseason, the better. More time to get ready for week one, get these, quote, acclimation injuries out of the way. Any injury is better for a veteran than a rookie. The rookie needs snaps. Look, NFL offenses and defenses are complicated. And you need snaps in practice. AJ Brown doesn't need them as much. I'm still, how about this for the difference? I am more worried about the running back hamstring, even though I don't know the grade.
That's what I'm saying.
The rookie running back than the veteran. As a matter of fact, I'm still worried about AJ Brown's chronic knee issues, where he gets vet rest all season, than I am this hamstring. if anything, this gets him off his knees,
Yeah.
for his chronic knee
Yes.
issues.
Right.
So more worry on the running back for lack of reps and other things, but of course it depends on the degree and severity.
What I wanted to mention is TJ Hockenson. He's coming back from that ACL plus last year. He played a couple games, not effective. He now has a groin injury. Justin Jefferson is sidelined with a hamstring. Is this groin injury? Is this something like acclimation from ACL, or is the ACL too far back? And this is just something, like you said, soft tissue muscle as you ramp up for the new season. And
Well,
you're not?
groin issues happen,
Mhm.
with or without the previous ACL. I like his prospects this year, right? The Scott Fish Bowl. I'm trying to draft him, or et cetera. Um, and until we know the side severity, you can't say that it's related to the ACL, but it is part of the acclimation to football picture. But we're still expecting a better year out of TJ Hockenson right now.
And Doc, the big thing I want to mention, we are doing our sick fantasy rankings this year, just buoyed off our great. We were top 5 in running back accuracy rankings at Fantasy Pros, and we were top 50 in overall rankings. We were 48. And we're going to have fantasy rankings inside of the guide as well. So that's key. It's not just like, oh, Mahomes is number 1. It's going to be injury rankings. So it's going to be, oh, we don't like Rashee Rice's injury, or we don't like their offensive line, and maybe Mahomes isn't number 1 anymore, right? We have a different style of rankings, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that would be key as well. Real quick, Doc, I was running through with them. I want to talk. We have daily WNBA picks and MLB picks, and the big injury that we were talking about earlier was Aaron Judge. He is officially back Tuesday, but they had remember you said last podcast they got an outfield trade. The outfielder picked up a hamstring injury a couple of games ago, so now they're in this predicament again. They might have to start Juan Carlos Stanton in the outfield because, like you said, Judge had to go from IL to DH. Correct?
Yeah, and yeah, this is what I said. Aaron Judge will be back soon at DH, just like Shohei played with a torn ulnar collateral ligament. And I'm not saying that's what Aaron Judge has, but he hit and then had surgery after the season. And then obviously Shohei until recently has been a hitter only because of the ulnar collateral ligament. Bryce Harper did the same thing, right? And as he, played through a ulnar collateral, et cetera, hitting is okay.
Big thing with that, Doc, Bryce Harper never played in the outfield ever again. Maybe once or twice sparingly, but I'll say he was never actual right field. He went to first base and DH. Is this the same as Judge? Do you need to think about his career? But the thing about you're taking away with Sam Harper, you have a great arm in right field, right? You're taking away runs if you throw to second, third, home. Is that what they're going to have to do with Judge long term, maybe?
It's possible if the code word flexor strain is really partial UCL.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to take stress off of it at first base or DH. In the end, his biggest value is at bats.
All right, Doc, I just want to real quick, just what we talked about earlier, free access to the guy with the annual sub to sick picks and sick data. Use code preseason to save over $100. Any last words, Doc, to make sure everybody goes?
Well, you were mentioning what's the newest news on Michael King? I haven't been following it.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I was playing doctor when you're gone. We talked about Michael King with the So Michael King latest is he's starting a ramp up in the rehab. Something that you more expected when we talked about this injury long before that. What I was explaining to the masses here is that it's not just something coach speak when you see somebody just say, oh, I woke up awkwardly in the shoulder. It was more how you saw the injury, what you saw, details.
Well, if you wake up with a crick in your neck, it's gone in a day. When it wasn't gone in a day and it started leaking into, quote, a nerve issue, that's a cervical neck nerve issue that's causing shoulder symptoms. That's why this was 6 weeks before the All-Star break when this happened. And at that point in time, what we were saying here on this podcast in Sports Injury Central is, as a Padre fan, if you can have Michael King back after the All-Star break fully healthy, you're going to take it. And obviously he didn't make it back yet. And at that time, we also said, even though no one had heard sight or sound of Yu Darvish, we were predicting Yu Darvish back before Michael King. Darvish has now had a great outing.
He's been playing well.
And Michael King, it's still early in August. I think you'd be lucky to see him in the month of August. We'll take it if you can see him anytime in the month of August. But I'm sure the Padres will be happy if they could have Michael King for September, right? I mean, need him back. Michael King's been great.
Well, Doc, the way the Padres loaded up, you saw at the trade deadline, it looks like that they're going all in this year, right? So it's good for them, and they'll have King back later for that stretch run.
Yep. That'll be good. I mean, I've seen a lot of baseball the last couple of weeks. A Red Sox game, Red Sox, Dodgers, Cubs, and Cincinnati.
Yeah,
and a lot of baseball in Cooperstown, but different kind of
Suns games as well too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Doc. Well, just like I said, go to the Six Score. Lots of changes, lots of information going on the site constantly. New training camp updates. Anything last to add, Doc, before we head off?
No, thanks for carrying the torches. I stepped away a couple times. Sorry for the different schedule, guys. Sorry for the voice, but fun times and the season is here. Lots of preseason games, et cetera. Lots of stuff at Sports Injury Central. Go check it out.
We'll have a couple more tailored pods for the season, right? Like fantasy pod. Maybe we'll get our friend Evan.
We have our podcast cadence is going to be different this year. So one of the things we're going to do is before the games are done on Sunday, when we get down to one game and the war room is now a dull roar, we're going to start the podcast talking about all the other injuries ahead of the game, so you can get a jump on everything. Absolutely. From fantasy waiver wire issues and whatever. It used to be we would do the podcast Monday, late morning, early afternoon. But we're going to get ahead of it. I mean, 90% of what we talk about we'll know Sunday night. And when it gets down to one game, maybe you have time and you want to listen. And yeah, we won't have the Sunday night football information because it'll be before that. But we'll do a lightning pod if there's a big injury Sunday night. And we'll do a recap of what's different from Sunday night to Monday from what coaches are saying. And then we're going to be doing these lightning pods every time there's a big injury, including, let's say, Thursday from Thursday Night Football, or if there's a big announcement on Wednesday in the injury report. We'll chime in on a much more timely basis to keep you ahead of things. And of course, late week as well. So the cadence will be different and hopefully more responsive to what you want. And we do want to try and do this, whether it's a Twitter live or this live format. The reason why we're trying to do it live is saves us editing, I guess, although it can make the production more rough. The idea is that you can ask questions and get crowdsourcing for questions. So that goes for here on this live podcast, but also throughout the lightning pods, et cetera. And so that's going to be our plan and cadence. Thanks for watching and listening. Thanks for taking on the rest of the show as I stepped away. Appreciate you all, and we'll chat again here soon.
Thank you.